It's good, y'all. It's a Sleepwalker Radio. I'm here with Lee, man. We're here for a very special edition of the show.
Yeah, this is like a end. What are we calling this? Like an end of year list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna call it the Fresh People list. This is something that has been going on since like the infancies of Sleepwalker. Like 2019 was the first freshman list. We were calling it a freshman list.
But
It was like XXL had their freshman list. And it'd be 10 rappers. And then at that point in 2019, we started putting out our own list of 7 rappers, 7 producers, and 7 videographers that were, you know, actively shaping the game, changing the game, or impacting the game. And either they were doing it in that moment or we believe that they were going to do it like by the end of the year. Normally put this list out like in the summer, about halfway through the year, but life and
yeah, I
shit.
like the change of pace.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna just put it in at the end of the year, and the criteria is gonna be a little different. We're instead of looking at it as like this person's gonna take over 2023 since it's pretty much over, we're gonna be looking back and saying these people kind of made the biggest impact, specifically in the underground, and are kind of poised to really either hit fully mainstream by next year if they aren't already, or just continue to take over. On the final section of the freshman list, the visual artists, this one is a little bit different than previous years. I feel like before we really only focused on videographers, but we got some cover artists on here as well. So the 7 people in our visual artist section are Kiirusly, Kapow.mov, Doris, Scott Taylor Art, Christopher Currrence, Goldbloom, and Llainwire. Starting off at the top of the list, we got Kiirusly. He's this videographer based out of Maryland. He's been uploading videos since about 2019. He's personally my favorite videographer this past year, I would say. Capturing your favorite artists from the DV area and beyond. Running from like OGs like Lil Zelly, Lil Dude, Tay Dog, and Slime Pseudo and Zanman to newer people on the scene like KP Skywalker, Paco Panama, Junie, Cash Dami, and Baby Santana. Yeah, I have him at the top of this list for me personally because I think he does a great job at like capturing and conveying the image of whoever he shoots, like the image that the artist trying to like give out to his audience, but still putting like his own, like Kiru's own spin on it too. So you can like you'll know it's a Kiru video, regardless of who he's shooting. Would say his videos use like a combo of like VHS footage along with like the super HD footage that normally has like a slight tint on it. I feel like it's normally black, but it might be like green or purple or red depending on the video, but it's like a slight tint. It makes everything stand out a little bit more, and especially for like the trap street artists that are rapping, it makes it seem a little bit more like a little grimier, which is cool. He does go crazy with the edits, the breaking glass effects, there'll be like raining, crazy zoom ins, slow mos, but he has like a really good flow to it where I feel like he's like doing a punch in flow, but editing instead. Like he's going like bar with every time a rapper punches in, that's also when he's going to do an edit too. So he's like right along with the artist, like going along with them bar for bar type shit. So I think he has probably the best videographer flow out right now in terms of like the edits and what he's doing and how he's shooting. 4 videos directed by Kiirus check out is Tony Snow, Mind of a Crook, Skino Flow by KP Skywalker, Smack 'em by Skino, Buffalo Bills by Lil Zelly. Also, I got a shout out Lil Zelly again, dear friend of the show. Like a lot of other artists, I got hit to Kiru through Lil Zelly. I would think Zelly is probably worked with Kiru the most, so I had to throw one of his videos on there. All right, so the next person on the list is Kapow.mov.movie, I think. And I put him on the list because he founded the Black Anime.X animation studio alongside his brother in like 2019. And since they founded it, which was at first kind of just like a little boutique type of, illustration, 3D graphics generator group. It's grown into like a full-on production company since then throughout the pandemic. There are a few animators on the Black anime team, and I feel like Kapow handles a lot of the 3D work that they put out. And his 3D work has like a pretty unique style. It's like a mesh of Jet Set Radio and Sly Cooper, like the Sly Cooper video games, but it's still inspired by like hip hop, drum and bass, just like Black art forms, music forms for real. Some of his personal projects that he's worked on is doing multiple artworks for Assad. He did a cover for Mike or DJ Black Power in like 2020. He built a website for Filthy when he dropped those Filthy hats. And it was like a whole website, and he turned Filthy into like a Wario version of himself. It was pretty crazy. Like I said earlier, Black Anime.X has really grown post-pandemic. This past year, Kapow has helped them with animations for Vice and MTV. Black Anime is also like pretty involved in Virgil's creative output during his last couple of years at Louis Vuitton. You know what I'm saying? R.I.P. Virgil. Some things Kapow assisted in with Virgil include building this virtual world in Virgil's Arania show for Louis Vuitton, and then premiered last year. He also helped him with like a few different logos and flyers for various Louis Vuitton shows his last year or two there. But yeah, man, like Kapow's style is just like very cool, and is kind of showing a new way for like fashion, hip hop, and 3D animation to intersect at the highest of levels, because 3D animation has been a thing in like music videos, specifically rap videos, for a minute now. But I feel like he's the first one to kind of have all the rap, 3D animation, and fashion as well from artists at, like I said, the highest levels, and like, really seeing what it looks like. And I think it's a good platform for just the future animators, hip hop musicians, even designers, and showing like what that type of technology can hold for the future. So yeah, for projects from this last year, check out the Fair Vision video on his Instagram. Is pretty fire. He also made like a paper airplane world for Louis Vuitton, which you can see on his Instagram as well. The Filthy Wear website, that's the website he built for Filthy. That's him as a Wario version. You can really like click around and do a few things on there. And then the Black Anime website, blackanime.x.gallery.
All right, this next visual artist is not really just a visual artist, who also makes music at an RXK nephew rate, similarly to like a ton of artists we mentioned in our like rap section. We got Doris, who does visual art while also like making super hard music, and my favorite artist of the year, like in total, from Linden, New Jersey. In terms of his visual artistry, I think to best describe it is sort of like he merges like illustrating and like photo collaging all in sort of like a singular piece. He's self-described as a visceral exploration, or his work as like a visceral exploration of color and form.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done a lot of covers for a ton of New York artists. He did a cover for Nata's like self-identified album. He did one for Anicia Kim this year. He did one for Neon Tay. To describe his like artistry, it's like definitely, it's like two sides of a coin. It's like on one hand, it's very surreal and it's very like exaggerated, whether like sort of like the focuses are mostly people and mostly people of color and mostly like Black people, but there's like a surreal element to it too, where those images are sort of the qualities that represent sort of like the realness or reality, but sort of like their movements, whether it's like their smiles or the colors used, are sort of like what makes it so like surreal and sort of like very like distorted almost.
Yeah.
His music is very similar to that as well, where his music is like very different. Like, it's, first off, there's not really a song that spans over a minute. The beats range incredibly from like tempo to pace to like almost like the chords that they use or the sounds that they use are like completely different from when they start to like when they finish, and that all spans in like 30 seconds or like 40 seconds.
That's crazy.
And the way he makes these like his like visual art is like kind of crazy. I mean, he uses like an iPhone 8s and use an app called PixArt to sort of like create like these like pieces while using like photos and like collaging while also illustrating in his own and sort of like adding um the colors in himself. I don't know, it's just like very um
That's crazy.
yeah, it's like super crazy. And like an artist, I think in one interview he says like I get the urge to create. Like when I get the urge to create, I create. Like it's a very like release almost of expression rather than sort of like doing it all the time. I think he's like someone who finds beauty in sort of like the everyday. We'll put up the pictures, like we'll put up the
Yeah, yeah,
pictures. But a couple songs that I fucked with this year. I know he's not on like the rapper list, but I think it would be
yeah.
amiss if you guys didn't listen to some of his like the hardest songs from sort of his career. One of the songs is Usher. My favorite song is Okay, Sexual Therapy, and Straight Face.
Facts.
All great songs.
And
He also dropped an EP this year as well called Side Nigga. It's super hard.
another cool cover art that he did was No Name's cover art. I just want to throw it in there.
Yeah,
The shit was fire.
it was super hard.
The next artist, visual artist that we got is another cover artist, Scott Taylor Art. He's based in Maryland, I think Baltimore, and he started doing covers for rappers around like 2019, and was doing a lot of like the SOS 645 AR covers when they were first gaining attention back then. He eventually transitioned into doing covers for the entire plug community and beyond. I would say nowadays, you honestly, at this point, you can't call yourself a plug artist until you get a Scott Taylor cover. That's just what it is. Just every single legitimate plug artist has a Scott Taylor cover.
Literally.
And his style is making like bubbly, ghostly versions of whoever he's working with. So a cover could be like a single ghostly version of a person, maybe like making some type of pop culture reference, or the cover could be like a super intricate like environment that might have like the ghostly figure of the person that he's working with, but then it'll be the rest of the cover is like buildings, clouds, some trees, and a magical forest. It can get really crazy with the different types of objects and things that can be on one of Scott Taylor's covers. That's still kind of maintain that ghostly, shapely style. He's worked with rappers of all levels in the game from different eras as well. Specifically in the pub community like Mexico Dro, Stupid Cool, Nestle, Zanman Shoddy, ATL Smook, basically all of Surreal Gang. Shout out Rob Surreal, interviewed him a minute ago. And like Eddie Gianni, Alto SGP. And then he's also been working with some of the newer plug artists like Slime Dollars, Bear One Boss, Booth Pack Mookie, 1600J, Real Young Phil, Delinchy. Like he really is just like a plug legend at this point. You gotta throw him in the same name as far as like a cover artist standpoint. He also makes beats as well. But you know, like the Mexico Dros, the Diego Monies, Stupid Cools, you gotta I feel like Scott Taylor is kind of inserted himself there at this point through just all of the visual work he's done. So a couple covers to check out by him is Selling Weight and 808s by Lil Zelly and Grim Doja. A Week Ago by Tony Snow and Geos. Alto's World by Alto SGP, and Gianni 3 by Eddie Gianni.
Okay, this next visual artist is like a videographer who kind of like spans more just like outside of like music into like film. Like this guy is like I think personally my favorite like director of like this year. It's also similar to Seek where it's not like 2023 hasn't been sort of a year of like blowing up for this visual artist, but it's just like he's like stacked up so much quality over the past couple of years that I feel like it's just bound to happen.
Yeah.
This is Currrence, a videographer from Macon, Georgia, raised in, I want to say, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, and has like a degree in fine arts, I believe. But in terms of his like body of work, he came out with this one. He directed the video for Mike, the Weary Love video that came out this year, which I thought was super hard, and sort of like gives me a similar vibe to sort of. I know they're very different in terms of like the subjects, but I think Khalik Ali and Christopher Currrence have this sort of like similar color to them in how they picture the environment and how people sort of interact with their home, especially like New York. Because I don't know, New York is like such a movie every time you like walk around it. He
Fact.
captures that like so well in terms of like whether it's like photography, scenes in sort of like a short film like he came out with this year. I did the cinematography for, not directed, but for a short film called Burnt Milk, and also like created like random vignettes that sort of in this similar world of like, I don't know, music, basketball, sports, like all these things are kind of interconnected, whether it's like film. And he did a vignette for like a neighborhood legend called Lonnie Milton, and it's called Old School, and it's just sort of recounts like a neighborhood legend in the game when it comes to like basketball. It's like a beautiful video. But this guy's also in his bag as well, doing sort of like a lot of like product work as well. Shot like a video highlighting the 25th anniversary of the Fendi baguette bag. So this isn't someone who's like, I don't know, I think he's got so many different bags and isn't just confined to like music. And I think is like someone who is, I don't know, going to be a pretty significant like director in the coming future. He also directed the music video for Wiki and Subject 5. One of my favorite videos from that project, called The Fawns, or like my favorite song from that project, called The Fawns. And yeah, I think just like a very quality director and a cinematographer in terms of like the color and sort of like the darkness, while also being able to capture like the light in the portraits and in the people that he captures.
Yeah, he's got this good name too, Christopher Currrence.
Yeah, hard name. I directed a video for Kia in 2020, the Negus Poem 1 and 2.
Hey, shout out Kias. That's still, I think we had that album as I think he was at the top of the list for real.
Yeah.
Top
I
two.
yeah, I listened to that this so much this year that I was like, fuck, like I forgot this came out like last year and can't add this on the list.
Yeah. Next on the list, we got Goldbloom. I'm not really too sure where he's from. He honestly gives like Seattle vibes if I had to guess, but I think he's based out of LA now. He's been uploading videos since 2018. He was shooting a lot of like the underground OGs at the time, like Lil Tracy, Chapo, and Five Finger Posse. You know what I'm saying? Like 5G, Sub 9K, all those dudes. He also shot a lot of the classic 2020, 2021 RX Poppy videos, like Money Rag and Super Silky Smooth.
Yeah.
And then for the past 2 years, he's been kind of capturing or tapping in with a lot of like the fringe underground rap up and comers and OGs for real that have their own weird spin in the genre. So like Cartier God, Sellasouls, 3300 Gram and Suave Guala, Joey, Lazy Guy. He even got some stuff with Lil PayPal and Curb Lagoop, and of course Trip Jones.
I just remember him like during the pandemic just driving all over the country. I don't know if you've like followed him, but I feel like this guy would like drive from New York to the South.
Word. That makes
California.
sense.
You know what I mean? Like,
he's been in and around, and all
yeah,
these artists are from like different parts of the country.
Yeah.
That honestly makes sense. That he was just hitting the road. That's guy. I think that's what you gotta do as a videographer, especially if you're like coming up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But videos normally use like a low quality footage that looks like a shot on a flip phone, honestly, that's blended with like, you know, nice high quality videos that, and he also has like a dark purplish tint that'll throw on a lot of his videos that give like a slight glow to the artist or just the objects that are on screen. So it makes a lot of his videos look like dreamy, and like trance like. And then he's also has a pretty high pace with his edits as well. So that only like exaggerates like the trance like feelings that his videos may put you in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just say he's really just doing a great job at capturing more of the unorthodox fringe musicians in the underground, and like giving them videos so their fans can actually see them. You know what I'm saying? So 4 videos directed by Goldbloom to check out is Sold My Soul to the Trap by RX Nephew, My Cologne by Cartier God. It's probably my favorite video that he's done so
Yeah,
far.
that one's my favorite. Yeah.
Sellasouls, Possessive Over Possessions. It's also shout out Sellasouls, man. He's probably one of my favorite like fringe artists out there. He's just off the hiss god Sellasouls, man. You gotta tap in. If you haven't already. And then Kiss the Ring by RX Poppy, his first day out song. Last person on this, we got Llainwire. They're a non-binary artist from Bristol, England or the UK. Or they initially came into the rap game making beats out of the UK. Probably like 2017, 2018-ish. I'm not really too sure, but it's definitely pre-pandemic. They started rapping as well before the pandemic. And then I feel like during that time period, or maybe even a little before, they pivoted into just doing music videos, doing videography to kind of just pay the bills and stuff. They started putting out music again at the very beginning of this year, and they were rapping over beats that they produced and were putting out music videos with these songs that were edited, filmed, developed by them as well. And they've only dropped 5 music videos or 5 singles with accompanying music videos so far this year, but like they're all just like groundbreaking music videos, to be honest.
It's super different.
They use a crazy mesh of like high quality HD footage with 3D rendered animation that's also super high quality, and they'll just switch back and forth between the two to the point where you're not really sure what's like real and what's fake. You know what I'm saying? Because they're just snapping like on all levels. The futuristic beats match with the auto-tune vocals that are all then going along with this crazy like fusion of like 3D animation and real actual footage. Has a lot of people calling them like a cyberpunk rapper, which is not too far off. People have been experimenting with 3D rendering in music videos for a minute now, especially after COVID. But I don't think anyone has been able to get it to like this level. And I feel like no one's been able to do the 3D animation at such a high level and still have it be attached with like music that is definitely underground. That's also huge. So depending on where Llainwire decides to go with like their creative output in the future, it could really shape the future of just like rap music videos in general and the use of like 3D animation. So yeah, a few videos to check out by Llainwire are Trust Fund, Bleed, Demons, and Casca. And like I said, they're all produced by them. They're rapping on it, and they did essentially all the visual effects between shooting, editing, directing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is our list.
Yeah, that's the list, guys.
Thank y'all if you watched all of this. We appreciate you. Yeah, we got big year for 2024. We had to close out 2023 the right way. We really were not going to put out a list this year, but you know what I'm saying? We gotta keep it going. 4 years in a row.
Yeah,
So
we can't let that shit stop.
can't let it stop. 2024 list coming soon.
Watch that shit come out in January.
Yeah, you never know, man. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. It's Sleepwalker Radio. I'm Amari.
I'm Lee Ben.
See you soon.
Peace, guys.
Peace.